of the publishing persuasion, of the publishing persuasion. All right, well, welcome everybody to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya, your co-host for the evening. I'm here with Melanie Schubert and her puss in the back. Melanie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Me and my puss are great. If you're not watching, you'll just have to observe the glorious puss at some point. I'm not going to elaborate, You'll have to just find the visuals.
Yes, I like that. Keep them guessing. Yes.
Honestly, like after our chat just now with Kiki
Mhm.
Kiana, it's just like a good little bitch slap that I needed. Do you feel that way?
Was it? Yes, yeah.
Like,
Well,
because I
how so
do.
for you?
For me, I feel like it's too easy to slip into the mindset she was talking about of like maybe like expecting things. And like,
Mm,
I think for me, and even though I don't really at all, I think that like the longer you do it, the more you can be like, oh, but what about this? What about this? But for me, guess I love that. It's less of a bitch slap and more of a reminder that that's the way I like to think. Like, this is so fucking hard what we do. Like, it's so fucking hard. And nobody like gets handed. Okay, that's a lie. Some people do get handed.
sure,
If you've got
sure,
enough
sure.
money, you probably
Well,
can.
yes, we
Caveat.
shove them to the side. They don't count.
They
Yeah.
don't count, but the rest of us basic bitches just like suffer and grind and like, and yeah, nothing's guaranteed. And yeah, you'll have to listen through to hear how she said it, but it struck a chord with me, just reminding me that like, I've always known it's like writing, life, everything. It's all a bit of a crapshoot. You know what I mean? There's no like fucking guarantees about anything. Even though like, even like, sometimes I think about insurance, like how badly what a scam insurance is most of the time. Because people so badly want to make sure they're going to be okay. They're going to, and like, whatever, it's fine. But a lot of times they can just actually screw you out of it and be like, no, actually, you can't make a claim because it was an act of God or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these loopholes that aren't really designed to protect you. It's designed to be a business. And anyway, it was just like a really good reminder for me, like, girl, you've known all along that this is like an industry you've chosen. Like, it's not easy. There's more failure than success, like times 100, times 1,000, times whatever you want. And and that always makes me like, I don't know, for me, it has the opposite effect maybe that it would for some people, like, oh, that makes it really hard. I'm just like, yeah, it's really hard. And then it makes me want to like work harder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, so it is fucking hard. It's just like such an acknowledgement of it. And like, yeah, I don't know. What about for you? I feel like something resonated for you as well.
Yeah. Well, she mentioned Widow's Bay. And to me, again, so I had just finished watching the show and I just thought it was such a genius show. And all of the like sort of books that she's like, give me this. And they're
Mm-hmm.
just like these like niche things about different aspects of life that aren't shown enough in media and that are equally as important and so interesting.
Mm,
That part to me of what she was kind of talking about and touching on, it was really this reminder of like those things are so important and they're
yeah.
so like few and far between of like finding these golden nuggets that are just different. And
Mm,
to me I was like, oh, I love when I find a show that's just like so different and
different. Yeah.
interesting and just like flips a trope or a genre on its head. And so it was just like a reminder of like, okay, this is the kind of stuff that I love and I want to be a part of. But mostly I just love to consume. But it was just kind of like a yes, that's what I
Yeah.
want in my life. I need the weird and and sort of like, you know, touching on the things that we're going through in this world is
Mm-hmm.
just like yes. And so, she had mentioned like the pivot, the art of the pivot, which we talk about so often, but I think it's so easy to forget about the
Yeah.
pivot because you get
Absolutely.
comfortable in what you know and what you know you're good at and what you know is easy. And so
Mm,
you're like, for me, it's like you just keep grinding and working on the same sort of thing. But I think of I think it was Lynn Painter, the amazing Lynn Painter that we've had on. And I believe it was her that was saying that she used to write in a different genre, and she was a good writer in that genre, but when she found the right like YA voice,
yeah.
it just skyrocketed her career because she found the thing. She
Yeah.
found the magic that, we think one thing is the right thing, but maybe that's the thing that's teaching you how to do the thing that you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I just think of that so often lately of like, I'm working on my fourth book. I just got the edits for book four, The Immortal Undoing. And this book by far has been the hardest one to write in the scope of like I've done a lot of like it's a lot of research, a lot of world building, it's heavy
Mm,
fantasy. And so I was just kind of nervous for the size of this book
yeah.
and and it like it was she's thick, but I brought her down in like word count, and I got the okay to bump it up. Like they like my edit letter was like, give us more world building, give us more of what's happening here. So I was like, okay, thank goodness. um but like getting that fourth edit letter,
Mm,
it was so like nonchalant. It was just kind of like, hey, here we go again,
mm,
go for it. And I was like, got it. And it was just so like we've done this before. And I, I know that's not how people feel, but for me, I was just like, I've been here, I've
yeah.
got this. But I don't want to feel that way. I still want to feel this fire
Yeah.
of like, no, bitch, like the industry isn't just asking you to just write some damn books, or readers just don't want you to just write your same old thing. Like,
Mm,
go hard, keep going, and you never know where it could go. But again, always, and then where do we go from there? Who freaking knows? But
yeah.
listening to her just really like lit a fire under my ass of
Same.
like, we can do this. We can do big things.
She has a voice of like everything she says is like from a like slightly different angle than you'd usually hear it.
Yeah.
And I do think that like, but grounded in like what we already know, like even when she was talking about all the things she wanted, and then she was like, I don't know how she said it, something like, she was like, but I also just want like silly bitch stuff. Like that's just like
Yes.
a hoot. And I was like, yeah, that's it actually. Like, I think it's the blend of the familiar and the new that make us like feel that real pull. Because you
Mm.
see, I don't know, have you seen Shrill? Have you watched Shrill?
I have not watched it. I've seen like the ads for, or like, it pop up on my feed and stuff, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I'm actually really loving it. And like it kind of,
Ah.
for this reason, like it does play into like tropes, but I feel like the characters are super nuanced, which makes them feel like
Ooh.
very fully fleshed out. Like the guy she's seeing at the start, every time I thought I had him pegged, I was wrong. And that surprised me because
Hmm.
it's like usually they'll like pick a trope and just go with that. And it's like just this like complete deadbeat that's so easy to hate, which he is, but they really did a good job of building up this like complexity of like a real ass human. And I'm like, and that's why people stay within those kinds of relationships because there's nice things too. And if they
Yeah.
haven't like been taught that they can like demand more and want more for yeah, I'm really enjoying how they're like and the comedy is great. Like it's so like they'll just go there, you know. They'll just say the unexpected like cloaca joke and you're just like, "Oh wow." And so you laugh because you didn't expect it. I'm realizing a lot of times I laugh because of surprise. Like I
Yeah.
didn't expect it. It's not so much I have a genre of jokes. I'm just like, "Wow, I didn't expect that," and it makes me laugh. So I've been really
Yeah.
loving that and I feel like I actually think that Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway movie did a decent job of, I don't know if you've seen that one yet either, where
No, I haven't.
they're both con women. So
I've seen like the videos of it, like
yeah.
the trailers and stuff. But yeah, I haven't watched it.
So again, it was
I
like
think I'm
that
like
feel
real
good.
like okay. I'm always like like it takes me a while to like watch a comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, oh, this is gonna be it. But like you were saying, the surprise factor is the thing. Where you're
I
just like,
wouldn't
that's gonna
say
be funny.
the Anne Hathaway one and Rebel one made me laugh out loud the way Shrill is, but it was very pleasant, enjoyable watch. Like I liked that they kind of took it an unexpected way as well. And it just kind of gave me that old tropes mixed with like something new. They did a really good job of that, which is
I
super
love
hard
that.
to do. Like,
Yeah. Yes. And you know what? I feel like when it comes to like cancel culture,
mm,
which is such like it's a huge thing. I know people say you can't be canceled, whatever, but I mean, you know what I mean. I think it's
yeah.
easier for a woman to be canceled by far at any given moment just because of how the nature of the beast works.
Mm,
But I really feel like because here's where I'm going with this.
yeah.
I I started trying to write this adult kind of like contemporary kind of fantasy thing, right? And and I know when I write young adult, I'm very conscious of the words that I use. I'm very conscious of the
Mm,
themes that I use. Just because I know it's a younger audience and like you want to, offer wisdom or whatever it is, right? But with adult, it's so it's different because we all are so nuanced. Like
yeah.
we all have even like the very best of us, the very most saintly of us, we all have these thoughts that are bad and like
Mm,
embarrassing and uncomfortable. And you're like, wait, why did I even think that sometimes?
yeah.
And so like as I'm, kind of figuring out this adult book, and I'm not writing myself, but I'm writing a character, I'm always like, oh, can you can you write these things? And I think that's why like sometimes comedies nowadays just don't hit because they're afraid to kind of
Mm,
go there and be canceled because of their comedy. But like the comedies that we would watch in, or even the early 2000s, which are totally awful.
yeah.
But they go there and they're so funny because it is a surprise
Yeah.
joke or scenario or whatever. And so I think I maybe I just need to read more adult
No.
books and sort of see what the vibe is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a valid thing that we all struggle with in this day and age. Like how like straddling that line is hard because your idea of funny might be someone else's idea of offense, right? And everybody's line
Yes.
is slightly different. And when you're a sensitive soul and you like done a lot of mental work and stuff, you never want to be the person that's offending people. You know what I mean? Like um, but at the same time, YOLO. And like, I want to make
Yeah.
my friends laugh. And I will say that,
Yeah.
like, my radar for what my jokes are like in a safe space, I'll say I'll be a lot more uh, not guarded with what I say, simply because my good friends know me and they know
Hmm.
like what a, they know like that I just love people and that I'm an ally to minorities and like every, whatever. So you don't feel like you have to give that caveat of like, by the way, this was just not that I'm out here making like jokes about, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't guard my words as much. And I think that is something that like as authors that we have to navigate. Like what is that line of like um what I'm willing to push, what feels funny, what's worth the joke, what's not funny, what doesn't need to be made fun of, or what's not my joke to make. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole
Yeah.
genre of things that, and I think as an author, it's our job to sit with it and dissect what do I want to put on the page, but also what am I willing to like risk it for the biscuit in terms of like, for example, Shrill. Like, there was a great abortion joke that I was just like, didn't see coming. And I fucking found it hilarious. Now, I'm fully aware though, another person will want that show cancelled for that joke. Get what I mean? I think at the end of the day, you know who you are in your bones, and you just gotta like, you could get canceled for something you put in your book. That like if you want to like just let your comedy go free, and like somebody might come for you for that abortion joke or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a personal choice as well. Like, do you never go there? Is it not the thing
Right.
that you want to expose yourself to? Sorry, I've said such a complicated side quest of things. Did any of that make sense?
No, no, totally. And it's something that's been on my mind also as I like
Mm,
just the media I consume and the books that I want to write. You're just kind of like how how far like I totally understand wanting to call people in for their like bad behavior or for the
mm,
things that they've said. And there are people that really and genuinely need to be called in. However, I feel like we're on like a weird sort of precipice of like, does that mean we can't explore like these taboo subjects anymore?
mm,
And I don't know the answers because sometimes
mm.
things are too taboo like and
Yeah.
shouldn't be discovered or talked about or like pushed.
Mm,
But then some things we still should feel like uh able to like rip apart aspects of humanity
yeah.
that are taboo and uncomfortable. And I feel like that was has been historically what's so good about art is
Yeah.
that you're exploring these things that we don't want to explore as humans in reality, but like getting to explore them through story or through art or through media, so I'm just like I love these like controversial like topics and like uncomfortable topics. Like I love reading about them um but I'm just like, wait, can I even am I strong enough to do these things? And it's not like
Mm.
I want to say like it's not like I'm out here like I really want to say
No, no,
some
I know. It
really
sounds
bad
like
jokes. You know,
same. I feel
it's
like
not
I need to
that.
say that after what I
Yeah.
just said. Like, it's like we're just literally talking about like the very, very fringe of things because we're both
Yeah.
hypersensitive to people and like
Yes.
their lived experiences. But it is like a very valid fear. It's a fear after what we've seen fellow authors go through, what some of us have had to experience, and even like in the early days of the pod we experienced like some cancel culture that we don't even need to go there, but like they people came for us,
Yeah.
um and we had to navigate that because some people are just waiting for an opportunity to like bring you down and looking for like any slip up. And I do think I recently watched the roast of Kevin Hart.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. And um some people couldn't watch it. Like
Yeah,
it
I hate
crosses
roasts.
every
Yeah.
line. It crosses
Yeah.
every line. And sometimes I did feel uncomfortable. But what I did see is that that group of people had made a safe space where almost anything goes. And I think they were trying, I actually feel like they're trying to do that on purpose. So they're like in this safe space, we all take the piss out of each other. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like the 20th joke about Lizzo's weight, I was like, okay, I think we're done with the like fat jokes about Lizzo. Like,
Right.
you know, but that said, I could kind of appreciate that they were like all ripping each other just as hard. Like there was 100 jokes about Kevin's height, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, it was something I've been considering since watching that. Like, is it the joke or is it the space you make it in?
Mm-hmm.
Get what I
Mm.
mean? Or is it the
Yeah.
person telling the joke? And like I said, I definitely think there's a category of not my joke, never going to be funny if
Yeah.
I make it. Do you know what I mean? Like I do
Yeah.
think that there's that too. But yeah, I appreciate the conversation though, because yeah, I think these are things that we're thinking about. I think all of us are thinking about what are those like invisible rules, or are there any? And like, how do we want to like conduct ourselves in like a, because yeah, the reason I think you and I think about this is being too sterile and too perfect and just trying to make it fit every line. It's not authentic either. And that's why
Right.
you wind up thinking like, well, how do I like really like dive into like what it is to be human and like and all of that.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly my
Mm,
thought process is like being on the pod. Like this is
yeah.
like a we're exposing ourselves to critique, to people not liking what we have to say, but should that make us afraid to say what's like in our hearts and our minds? So it's like a scary place to put yourself
Yeah.
out there because you are putting yourself out there and none of us are perfect. And even if I know myself, I know you, we have like great hearts. Like we're so good.
We
Like
do, we do though.
but we really do. I mean it.
Yeah.
We really, really do. And like genuinely just want people to be happy and
Mm,
and fulfilled in life and find their dreams and like
yeah, me
genuinely are good
too.
people. But even if you have the best soul, you're gonna make mistakes. And so putting yourself on this platform is really scary because you people could really love you, but not everybody is going to love you.
Sometimes the nicer and better you are and the better you do in life, there's a whole subcategory of people that are gonna hate you more. Do you know what I mean? Like, in our
Yes,
last
she's
3 minutes before we go on
yeah.
too many side quests, let's read the bio. And then I really want to tell
Okay.
you about the snake church. But I also wanted to ask you because I feel like you've got events coming up. Girl, I had so many things I wanted to tell you, but I just like,
What?
I feel like I
We'll have
did
to save
myself
it.
in by saying one thing, and then I felt like I had to explain that, and then I felt like I had to explain that, and I was like, well, here we are. I'm just explaining it.
You'll have to put a pin on Snake Church because I do want to know about this, but I don't know if we'll have time for
No, no,
Snake
I'll save it
Church.
for next
But
time because I want to regale
okay.
you.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. I will say we're dealing with a mountain lion situation. So I
Right
have to
near
say,
you.
yeah, no, it has killed two of our sheep.
Oh
So I
my
have to
God.
say, we give Australians crap for having like scary things. You guys have spiders and snakes and stuff, but I
Yeah.
feel like we don't give ourselves enough crap because
No.
we have lions
Yeah, and
walking around.
alligators and shit.
Yeah, so,
Bitch,
shout out.
stay safe. Oh my God, are you like carrying a
Yeah.
knife or something?
Well, yes, yes, just a knife with me everywhere I go. But you do have to be cautious because they are out, like literally, they have killed our sheep. So, but speaking of slaying, we
That's an
speaking of
iconic
slaying,
segue.
we have a really amazing guest on today. But we really, really do. She's fabulous. So, Kiana Kiki Nguyen is a literary agent at Donald Maass Literary Agency. Kiki Nguyen started in publishing in 2015 with an internship with Wunderkind PR, independent book publishing PR company, working on campaigns with authors such as Ernest Cline. There, she discovered a practical industry for her codependent love of fiction. She joined Donald Maass Literary Agency in 2016 as an intern and is now an agent building her own list. Kiki represents young adult and adult fiction across genres with a particular hunger for horror and genre thrillers and a focus on queer and BIPOC authors. She has represented New York Times, US Today, Sunday Times bestsellers, and award-winning titles. Bring on Kiki.
Can you say horror for me again?
Horror, horror,
When you say horror, I
horror,
just hear whore.
horror. She wants horror.
She wants horror. We all do.
Horror.
And,
Yes.
you will all will too after this episode. I'm recording.
Oh, yes.
Bye.
Oh,
How are you
hello.
guys?
Good. So good. Okay, do you want us to call you Kiana or Kiki?
Oh, Kiki, please.
Okay,
Kiki.
perfect.
Hi,
Perfect. Yeah.
Kiki. Good to have you
Hello.
on.
Yes, how are y'all?
So good. Just having a great day over here. Nice and hot.
Yeah, it's very hot.
It's frigid here in Australia. It was like 0 degrees the other night. So
I mean, I would not tell it looks so sunny and warm for right where you're sitting. So it's like
oh,
the
I am
perfect spot.
yeah, there's a window behind me. I'm actually at my in-laws' place today, so it's a different vibe to usual. But yeah, the sun is streaming.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a tropical oasis behind you, Melanie. It looks
Don't let the
good.
plants fool you. I could see my own breath in the air when I went out to take the dog, okay?
Oh, I miss those days. I'm ready for the cold weather. Are you a cold weather girly, Kiki, or do you like the heat?
Yeah, I'm from New York, so I really do miss everything about fall, especially. Winter, I could take it or leave it, but yeah, it there. Sometimes I'm like, when it gets cooler here, I'm like, it's dark out. I'll go just stand outside and feel without a short sleeve and be like, hmm,
It is a bit of a vibe, in fairness, you know?
yeah,
It is.
hoodie
Oh,
season, you know.
Yeah, I was in New York recently for BookCon, and and it was so like because I'm here on the West Coast, so we have to drive for everything, and like just getting to
Yeah.
just like take public transit, just not have to drive was so cool. But then I was like, wait, when it snows, what are you guys doing? Like, how are you maneuvering around the city?
Yeah, it's not really the snow that's bad. It's usually just when it rains and then the subway stations flood. So like especially if you're like above like 120th, then it's like all the rain is coming down the stairs. There's like feet of water. It's really gross.
Oh my God. Does it get like that sounds dangerous. Does it get like they
Oh,
have to
yeah.
block parts of the subway off?
Well, they should. Won't say that they do. Can't
They're
say that
like, you've got this. You
they're like,
survive out there.
yeah, rain boots.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're
Rain boots
just
up
like
to the
just su
chin.
yeah, just suffer through, wade through the water.
Yeah, and who knows what it's in there.
Ooh, everything is the answer.
Yeah.
Everything.
But
Oh my
thanks for
gosh, that's
having me
funny.
on. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, no, of course. Honestly, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Mm.
We have a lot of like budding writers, a lot of authors that listen in. And so anytime we can have agents on, I think is just so special. For one, because we're all nosy and we just want to know everything there is about agents and what your life is like. But also because you guys are so important to the trad pub space. And so it's so like fun to get to know you like on a personal, professional level. So thank you for being
Yeah.
on. And speaking of getting to know you better, we want to ask one of our favorite questions just because we are nosy. What is the strangest thing that you own?
That I Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. The strange I don't think I own very many strange things, but I think that's because I just don't own very many things. I mean the like I have hobbies, so like, there's a bunch of Japanese stationery hanging around, but
Mm.
I can't say that I have anything out of the norm.
What about like your favorite thing right now? I feel like we need to update the question to be like, what's your strangest like or your favorite thing or something you always look and you're like, oh, I love that.
Oh, that would have to that would I would if I was a person, I feel like oh my gosh. Um yeah,
Nothing. Just
I
Nothing.
really
nothing.
I'm looking at these Sabrina Carpenter records that I own that I don't have a record player for just because I love the album covers that much. Does that count?
That super
Yes.
counts, and it's why we asked the question because somebody is going to hear that answer and be like, that's just like me. I also collect records with no record player just because the covers are amazing. And like, yeah, it tells us a little bit about you, and I love that. I love collecting random things even when I don't have the player or all of that.
Yeah.
So
I spent all my money on literally temporary things, food and going to the movies.
that is a valid choice, honestly.
Yes. I'm here for that, honestly. Like those are the important things in life, I think. Good food and movies, you can't go wrong. So you're
Yeah.
feeding the soul and the belly. Uh,
Mm.
you know. So win for sure. What is something that you think about way too often? What's your Roman Empire?
I don't have a Roman Empire per se, but I do think about a lot of things. I think about MLMs all the time. I think about the level of commitment. Um, Mental fortitude is not the word I want to use, but and that's and that like just like of just the dedication to suffering and entrepreneurship to me is so fascinating. Again, Japanese stationery, Tomoe River paper, like there's this whole thing where the machine that produced it like was retired, and now like millions of people across the world are suffering with whatever machine that they're using now. It was number 7 and now it's number 9, who knows. So there are those things I also like. People are just like, well, it just doesn't feel the same and blah blah blah, because fountain people use fountain pens with the paper, and depending on what their favorite one, it works better with the new or works better with the old. um Cannibalism sometimes, I'm does do humans really taste so similar to animals? I
I
don't know.
mean,
I can't read too much into it without getting grossed out, but
but
I
you,
could be in a mountain. I could be on a mountainside somewhere in need.
You never know. You never know. And I like that you're thinking ahead.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stop there. But
no, that was perfect.
I feel like we really got to know you right there with all of those answers.
well, that's just the half of it.
I have
Oh,
more
I
questions
love it.
about the cannibalism, but I don't want to go too far on a side quest because that could happen. But what's like the
Yeah.
most interest if it is it like a topic you go back to a lot? What's like the most interesting thing that you've learned about it?
Oh no, I think he just I hyped that up a little too much. I was honestly watching. I was watching Hunger Games Ballad of Song Snakes and Songbirds and Snakes, and I
Mm.
think there was a part where in the war that was happening in the Capitol, some guy was coming around with a little hatchet, and President Snow's young self was like, and it's just like sustaining. So I think that's what it was.
That would stick with me too, honestly.
Yeah, it's a valid question. Would you or wouldn't you? There's a lot of questions around
Oh,
it. If they were already just, if it's survival, like the guys in the mountains who like their friend froze to
Mhm.
death and then they ate
yeah.
him, but he'd already passed. So that one doesn't feel too bad to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I think, you know what? I don't have an amazing will to live or survive, but at the same time, I do not like being hungry.
Yeah.
Mm,
So,
you
Yeah.
know,
That's relatable as hell, honestly. Because I don't want to be hungry. That is so relatable. Oh my God, that's so
glorious.
funny.
Well, hopefully we never have to find the answer to that question. But what I do want to hear the answer to is what drew you to becoming a literary agent? Tell us a little bit about that.
that's another long story long. Okay. So I don't know if y'all are ready for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those things where like, I was a book reader my whole life, The Littles and Junie B. Jones, all that stuff when I was a kid. And then before fan fiction became a thing, I was also writing fan fictions about all the random little things that me and my cousins were reading, to the point where I'm pretty sure the first thing I've ever no, okay. And I was gonna say that, but no, actually in third grade we had like an assignment or whatever to write a little story. And I remember being so mad that my story was inappropriate because it was about, I think, a parent who became a blob and their child stepped on them, and I think it was their bladder or something. So it was like a pee joke. And apparently it's inappropriate. But the story that won was about a cat, like two cats who met in a hot tub and they fell in love or something. I swear that's what it was. And they had kittens. I don't even know. That's appropriate. So anyway, maybe spite. Is that what it is? But anyway, so I had like known about authors and editors for, I think everybody knows those two things, for pretty much my whole life, probably into college. And I didn't go to school for English or anything like that. I went for anthropology. Um,
Okay.
and I hadn't really thought, I mean, I had been writing fan fiction or writing my little stories, but I never really thought about pursuing being an author until I started hooking up with this ginger from Long Island, this dude which is fascinating, you would think, because I came out as a lesbian in high school, but I was just so lonely in that anyway, so we were like together, and then when he broke up with me, I was just like, well, I'm gonna write a book based on our relationship, and I'm gonna get it published. I'm gonna embarrass you. The book was terrible, so I was embarrassing myself, sending out to people who are now my colleagues. But I did join Twitter around the time I like was writing this book in earnest, and that was 2015. And honestly, all I had known of Twitter at the time was like all my friends would be on there looking, I guess, at memes or things like that. Like it was kind of like a current like pop culture type space. So I followed authors and publishers. And at the time, Simon and Schuster ran a raffle to win a chance to get killed as a character in an adult thriller novel by Shane Coon. It's called Hostile Takeover, which was the second in a 2-book series. And I applied because at the time Sony was like attached to it, and Dave Franco was attached as the star, who I loved because of 21 Jump Street. So I entered and then I won, and the independent publicist who ran the raffle offered me my first internship. So that's kind of how I got into Aging Tang. And by the time I was like thinking about careers, which I've never been a career oriented person, I've never been this is what I want to do with the rest of my life type of person, it just kind of worked out that I was getting callbacks from internships. And I was really known on Twitter at that point. So this was like probably 26. So if I graduated, I didn't even graduate college. When I left college, when all my friends graduated in 2015, there was probably like a year in between where I had that internship, and then I did an AmeriCorps service, and then I was like, Beth Fallon started DV Pit actually, and then that kind of got me excited about books because at the time I'm just like, well, everything is really straight and white and just really not for me. But that contest really helped, I think, spark my interest back, and I looked for a job. And then I was on Twitter at that time for years, and people knew me, and I had a lot of mutuals with different editors or different agents or different authors just because I was on there talking shit about what I loved and what I didn't love about media. And then so I started interning at Donald Maass Literary Agency, I think in the summer of 2016. Is that is that a good story? Is that too
That's
long?
a great
Yes.
story.
It's so fascinating. I feel like everything about you is very fascinating, and that it's
Yeah.
so interesting. So when you started interning, like what did that look like for you? What was the task of an intern at this literary agency?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, my internship looked very different from the beginning to it towards sort of when I was there for a few months because Amy Boggs, who ran the program, left agenting to join a different arm in publishing. So when I started, we had sort of like monthly seminars or like classes on like, okay, here's contracts, here's queer, like here's these like sort of segmented things. But when she left, it kind of went from to us doing, I think, more of a traditional internship where we were helping the senior agents with their inbox and sort of things like that. Doing second reads. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it was such a blur in my life. I was hitting those bars every weekend. So I really just the time other than after I think about so if I started in summer of 2016, by fall of 2017, and I do remember again because this was the first year DV Pit did a fall pitch contest, and also the first time I was aware of pitch wars. My VP, Katie, who's now our VP, asked me when I was going to start signing clients, and I was like, "Girl, what?" And she was like, "Yeah, basically, you're not going to learn the job unless you're doing the job." I said, "Girl, what?" Anyway, so I ended up doing it, and I made my first offers towards the end of that year, both from DV Pit pitches and some of the Pitch Wars authors. So that was like, so I signed my first clients end of 2016, 2017, early 2018. Did I answer the question? I totally got lost in the
Yeah.
sauce.
No, I am a side quest girly, so any side quest you take us on, I'm there and I have about 50 questions.
Yeah, and I think that the main difference is, I mean, every agency is run so based on who's running the agency, sort of their experiences and what maybe they feel are the most applicable. And it really is. So that's like the apprenticeship part, I think, really lends into when you're doing the work and things come up, that's when you're really doing a lot of the learning other than the organizational admin sort of
Mm.
stuff. right? It's easiest to learn about sublists when you're putting them together and trying to figure out, it does it make best sense to meet everybody that you're going to submit a client to, or like, can you sort of take like an approach where you do a lot of research on the editors depending on, like, again, like what your workload is. And I think that changes based on if you're a newer agent, whatever you are in your career, and what your goals are.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, all
That's so
sounds so
interesting,
fast. Yeah, it's
honestly.
really fascinating. And I'm curious now, like as you're starting out, like what's it like, kind of building your network and like what are kind of like the pressures and things available for a new agent who's doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I honestly think it really helped. I'm from New York, so I was in New York at the time. I was living in the city. I probably was living in Upper Manhattan at the time, and I think it really helped to be able to go meet editors in person, to be like, oh, like let's grab a coffee, let's grab a lunch, let's grab a boba or something like that. And
Mm.
plus, at the time, pre-pandemic, there were a lot of different social gatherings. Either it was like young agenting groups or young publishing professionals. I remember once there was like a speed dating put together between editors at one of the kidlet houses or imprints, sort of that thing. So I think there were a lot of really cool in-person opportunities, for you to be able to, if you weren't already yourself being like, okay, this is an editor that I want to look into, that I want to get to know, I'm reaching out myself, sort of put together so that you can test the waters if you weren't necessarily as, um what is the word, like when you're like forward moving self or whatever. I don't know these words. This is
Yeah, I mean, we
Self
don't know the words.
advocating, you mean?
yes.
Yeah.
I think also it really helped being on Twitter at the
Mm.
height of book Twitter, because again, my platform, my platform, was big enough that I think people really got to know my personality a lot before meeting. So there were a lot of relationships that I had online that naturally gravitated towards offline as I started building my list or making it known that
Mm.
I was signing clients in this space, or not. Like there were plenty of times editors reach out to me because of something that I talked about on Twitter or because of an announcement that I had made. So I thought that was really cool. But really, I think in your early years, aside from again, sort of learning the back end type of stuff, a lot of it is hitting the pavement and meeting editors, which I mean, Zoom is also great because you can probably do a lot more scheduling rather than being in person. And I'm one of the, I'm time blind, so honey, I was late. I was on my train and I was getting late. So Zoom helps a lot more. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. I think it really
Yeah.
is, and there's so much excitement, right? Especially when you're an
Mm.
author and you first get signed and you first, like, you kind of your first foray. I think the same thing with agenting and probably with editorial or any other position. There's so much excitement to just get to do the work. Um, and to meet people, because it's such a social business. It's so important, I think, for agents especially, to understand the people that we are trying to sell to, because the more you know about a person, the more that you could probably try to get a sense of their taste or define their taste for yourself and how it fits in with what you're trying to do.
Mm.
Okay. See, this is why I knew I needed an agent, because I am not social and I needed somebody to be out there for me, doing the work, doing the hard work.
Mm.
So thank you. Bless all you
Yeah.
agents that have personalities of gold. It could not be me. How has like the scene changed here in 2026?
Mm.
Are there still meetings? Are we still getting together? Like, what's it looking like now?
I mean, I moved from New York literally a month before the pandemic. I moved to LA a month before the pandemic. I was like, well, these Brooklyn lesbians are getting on my nerves. And also, if I'm going to be hustling and broke, I want to do it in somewhere I've never been. So I moved to LA with that purpose, and then COVID hit, and that really changed. I mean, I'm sure you both know, it really changed the dynamic of the industry. In one ways, I think authors had got more access to agents. That's when Query Manager, Query Checker really jumped off and became a platform that moved a lot of agents from email to sort of that site, and therefore I think made querying the process a lot easier for a large portion of writers. Um, and I think, again, it really showed how Zoom was a great connector, in times when we were all inside and not able to do sort of the traditional lunch coffee type of thing. Um, it also interestingly led to a period of intense burnout, but an intense connection, right? Because
Mm.
again, like you could reach out to anybody and say, like, I mean, we did everything by phone calls, and I'm 33 and I'm terrified of the phone. Who knows why? So Zoom it's a
It's
great middle ground between that. So I think in that way, there's more accessibility, I think, in terms, it's probably less nerve wracking to ask somebody if they want to do is hop on a Zoom than it is to like, oh, like, let's go meet somewhere, I don't know, for a coffee where you have to leave your office or leave your home, blah, blah, blah. But I do also think that COVID came at the height of YA, which it's so fascinating. So the YA grew from the aughts, right? Sort of where took off from Gossip Girl and Twilight and became its own thing, primarily on fantasy, which has, because now that became oversaturated, has bled into new adult and established romantasy sort of as a new genre, thanks to Brent Taylor, shout out Triada, right? Um, that COVID sort of was a time where publishing was trying to open doors. They were trying to diversify, right, in terms of inclusivity, racially, and with marginalized creators, but also at the same time, a lot of new imprints had just been created before COVID, and then okay, I hope this all makes sense. But all this to say
Mhm.
that like YA was hitting its zenith and hitting its peak, and in a lot of ways, I think really deflated during COVID when kids were outside of school because the library and school market is such a big market share of like who the
mm,
buyers are, even if it's YA. And then so therefore it makes so much sense that I think YNA has now developed primarily in the fantasy space to be a connector not only for current teens, but I mean, this was like now 6 years ago, wild,
mm,
teens who are graduating or young adults that were graduating into adult fiction, but not finding anywhere near the same type of storytelling narratively or thematically, right, that you find in YA. And I think that I can go on another call with another rant about how there's not enough, I think, fiction in the adult market that is catered to and or thinking of teens who grew up in the 2000s or kids who grew up in the 2000s.
mm,
Because I think it's like you have novels that go until you're 18 and then you have to kind of wait until you're like what 40 with house and kids to be able to feel like fiction is applying to you again. I don't know. It's wild. Anyway,
mm,
all that to say, sorry. I think COVID really changed the game because it felt like in a lot of ways there were new avenues, but in also more probably ways that are coming out now, shutting down risk and caution was really entering the scene and making it a lot harder to just do anything, right?
mm,
Um, and so now, okay, I'll end that by saying I think COVID brought in the it highlighted more than ever the need for an author to be able to pivot. I'm done. Okay.
mm.
Mm.
I don't know if
No,
that
no, don't apologize for any of your answers because honestly, our questions really are a guide, and I actually just thrive for guests like you who come on and like, yeah, because this is, if we had the same answers every time to all the questions, it would wind up being like a very similar version. But I love to hear all these side quests, which are like part of your life and your
Mm.
unique experience, and that's what I want to hear. The questions just help us get there, you know what I mean? So please. Take us on all the side quests. We're living for it all. And they're not really side quests. It's all, I mean, all of publishing is like one big side quest. And I like that you said that about pivoting because that's my experience. Like, you kind of just have to be ready for anything, ready for that
Yeah,
pivot.
yeah. I had this. I like that I moved to LA because one thing it brought me in face to face with a lot of screenwriters in Hollywood in particular. And the major difference between Hollywood and publishing is that you're working with a script that's 90 pages long that's meant to be read through, right? The whole point of screenwriting is to get to the end of the page and get to the next one versus obviously prose, you're working with at least 70K to like 100K that you're sitting a lot more portion of time alone by yourself writing something on your own, sort of by typically whatever you were inspired by, you're emulating that, and then as you're emulating that, you're creating your own voice, and who knows if that's going to be the first completed project that you have that's queryable to however many, right? But the timeline and the pipeline, I think, to be an author is so much longer and takes so much more isolated investment in a
Mm.
way that has created what I which I think culminated in sort of, also again with COVID, the more toxic nature of book Twitter or book talk or book spaces, in the sense that I'm going to be quite frank, I think we overly coddle author feelings in a way that does not allow writers to take ownership of their feelings, of their anxieties, and their career, so that we can just pretend that like every book is a dream that's meant to be sort of valued at the same rate, when really what we're doing is telling creators, or what we're trying to do is what the fuck, like steer creators
Yeah.
in a market that's about buying and selling. So you have the emotional portion of creativity, but the market of buying and selling doesn't care. And I think like this
Mm.
idea of being an author who's being taken care of has kind of gone a little bit overboard, and to the detriment, I think, of the pivoting, of being able to see, like, if this is not working, that doesn't mean that your writing life is done. This doesn't mean that what you care about is done, but it does mean that you have to look at what is happening with your work, how it's being positioned, and how it's being received. And if it's not working, babe, you can write another book. Or if not, maybe that's like writing for profit isn't for you, you know?
Mm.
Mm.
Yes.
We're feeling it. We're feeling it. Yes. Yes, we are.
I'm
That
obsessed.
took us back. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
because I have started out and I've only written, full length books that are young adult romantasy stories.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I've done decently, but it hasn't necessarily taken me to where I'm hoping to go
Mm-hmm.
someday. And so it's like the art of the pivot is so important because I love those like early to mid 2000 vibes YA books. And so like everything you were saying was like, oh, this is what happened. My book came out in 2023 and that was already kind of the decline of YA. And so the art of the pivot is so
Mm.
important and it's so hard sometimes to accept it because we love these stories but like you were saying, are we doing it for profit or are we doing it for the love? And so those are maybe sometimes two different things, or
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes. And so it's really cool to hear an agent acknowledge that
Yeah.
and be like, let's pivot, let's do something else, let's work on something else. I think it's so refreshing to hear. What sort of genres do you represent? Are you like all over the place? Like, I want to know a little bit more about that from you.
Yeah, so like speaking of pivoting, I started my career thinking, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be my list is gonna be mostly YA. It's definitely gonna be a lot like YA fantasy heavy. But then I think I also, so this was like 2017, the height of Pitch Wars. I also was kind of feeling like it was the height of trope.
Mm.
And I think that that has also graduated to new adult fantasy, and sort of the graduation of YA of writers to fantasy writers in a way that's really fascinating to see. And I'm curious how it's going to balance out. But I think for me, I love YA. I love YA fantasy, and I love fantasy as well. I can't believe it's already 9 minutes long.
I know.
But but uh now I've sort of pivoted and found, like, the thing that I love as a reader is not necessarily what I'm great with as an agent, because how you're pitching a project is so vital, right? And I realized that I'm really excited. What I'm excited about as a reader is very different from what I'm excited to share with editors and be like, this is what I think that you should be buying. This is what I think is for the market. So I've moved on. I still represent YA, and I'm actually jumping back into YA because I want to really see what's going on there. And I do that all genres. And in adult, I still do science fiction, fantasy, but more sort of grounded worlds. If you're thinking something like For All Mankind, or like an urban fantasy sort of setting, like nothing second world really, mostly because I just can't do like medieval fires and swords anymore. Like I just can't. Fuck. um, but and horror is like my main love right now, especially in with thrillers, in the sense of like I want to take it out of suburbia. Like I want to get like I'm from the hood. I'm from like a lower socioeconomic neighborhood. I just really don't relate. I don't relate to somebody with a tech husband. I don't I with a minivan. I don't. And romance, again, okay, I'm gonna try to keep this short. Romance, but I really want to find what's going to be the romance novel. How are we going to take it from Nora Ephron beats, which worked really well when we didn't have the internet and we weren't able to one look at somebody all day every day when they're not even with us, and then also communicate with them all day every day when they're not with us. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the way that our relationships develop are so different. Our expectations for relationships have changed so much in 10 years.
Mm.
And I would love to figure out who is the writer that's taking that into account, right? It's not the, oh, will they, won't they, because people are getting together without knowing each other. And it's sort of the post get together that really is, I think, where the bulk of romance novels maybe should be sort of pivoting to interacting with, just because I think it's so much more realistic to how so many people are engaging in romantic relationships now. Anyway, and then
Mm.
women's fiction, which again, sort of not the eat, pray, love, type of house with the dog. Oh, like I'm a divorcee trying to find my life again, but like other subcultures,
Mm.
sort of other trajectories for women, but also just I think all gendered people who are not like okay, the career, the house, the family. That's the sort.
Glorious.
Yes.
And honestly, sounds like I want what I want to be watching and reading as well. So it feels like very on point with everything. So, like with everything you're reading in a day, I can only imagine how much you are. Like, what really stands out to you? Is it that kind of just like something different, something more nuanced, or is there something else?
Oh my God, look, how I'm always saying to editors is like my whole thing is like fun books for dumb sluts. Like I'm really not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm really not trying to be like, okay, you have to do something totally different. It's literally just taking the camera from the room that we've been watching and just spinning it around. Like,
Mm.
so really what has gotten to me, I mean, a lot of this femgore stuff has been super fun in the horror space because it's like you're meeting these like really nasty, like nasty women who are like, with these like impulses that are just like really like animalistic or raw or like whatever it is. Um, that type of thing. Or right now, I'm so excited to read This Kingdom Won't Kill Me because I love portal fantasies and I love the sense of like fandom. And I've been feeling a little bit like fandom has become so specific in this culture of like an introverted nerd who has like, these very specific things, which is like fine. I'm a nerd. I'm not trying to talk shit about that. But I do think that it has sort of been one lane, almost like for the last 6 to 10 years. And I would love to sort of see, I mean, we talk about like something like Attack the Block, right? Where you have like a bunch of kids who live in like a lower income neighborhood and they're just fighting these aliens, but it's not, does that make sense what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
So I think things like that when you have interesting settings or interesting characters. I just recently loved this is a show, Widow's Bay. And I thought that that was like such a perfect balance of comedy and horror with like people
Yes.
who feel real and lived in. And I think that's what I'm looking for in novels. And what really excites me when I'm reading novels is the sense of like, this is character and this book is opinionated in some way. It could be like,
Mm.
the book could be like, I love worms. Like that could be the opinion of the book. And I'm locked in because it's not like any character, this character could be doing anything, anywhere. And, and then like that's sort of the thing. So Sarah Gailey is an author that I've loved a lot recently. This is, y'all gave me the questions ahead of time and you know,
No, forget the
when you think
questions.
about, when you think about books, I've been reading a lot on audio, I think,
Mm.
Yeah.
which I think has been really helpful for when I want to read a novel that's either really twisted, like a thriller or a mystery, or one that is more introspective. I just read The Body by Bethany C. Morrow, which
Mm.
is my yesteryear personally, because I find that a lot of the narratives talking about influencers and I think trad wives and this idea of like women who are commodified and also I think imprisoned by their religion is so very let me figure out how to say this because I know a lot of people love this book. But it's so very narrow, and I think it's interested in
Uh,
different things than what I'm
Mm.
interested about when it comes to the idea that we have a population of people who perform for the internet in order to maybe share their ideas, but mostly make an income. And I think the things that I find interesting about that are not the things that people are writing about.
yeah. No, I love the way your brain works,
Yeah.
though. I love this because it really is a part of our world and our lives that isn't seen on screen or in books. And so I love where your head is at, and I hope we see more books like that. Yeah, Widow's Bay, I just finished watching it like a couple days ago, and it
Mm.
was just a delight. It terrified me and it was a delight. It was
Melanie, you have to
hilarious.
watch it.
I am, it's
Yes.
on my list for immediately after this.
Yes.
I
It's just
watched it
creative,
so
you know?
creative. And it's
I'm
not
just like
it's
people.
not these like big sequences or these things. It's a very character based show about like
Mm.
these
Yeah.
people who are trying to like they have these goals or these issues, and they're just conflict with each other because they want to keep certain things this way or that way. And I think that's the whole thing about storytelling. It's about characters who are trying, like, what are their selfish impulses and how does it match up or conflict with another characters, right? Even if you
Mm.
have the same goal, you're two different people. Like I would say Buffy and Willow, this is like my example I give to writers all the time, would narrate walking into an elevator with like somebody who just farted completely differently, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how I think that you
Yes.
should be thinking about voice when it comes to writing.
Ah, I love this.
That's an
I
iconic
think
nugget.
yes, it is.
Farts in
Okay, well we're
elevators
down.
as writing hints. But it's true.
Yes. Okay, we're down. Hopefully I'm not lagging,
No, no,
but
you're
we're down to
great.
our last little bit. Okay, good. And so I want to ask what I'm sure everybody listening wants to know. Are you open to queries right now?
Oh, I'm open to queries. I'm too open to queries. I'm so open to queries. And I want people to, before they query me though, read my MSWL, which is on my website, kiananguyen.com, also on my agency website, massagency.com, and then also I think on MSWL. Because no, you could be like no dragons, and then you'll get like 6 dragon books. Babe, I'm trying to waste your time. Don't make me reject you. It's me. But yeah, I'm open to queries, and really, again, it's I just want stories that are taking either beloved tropes or beloved things just from a different point of view. Like cozy fantasy is so fascinating to me because why does everybody want to own a business? Like that's so insane. Like it's like we're going from like trying to take down an empire that's like oppressing a population to owning a business. They're all stressful, babe. There's nothing cozy about that to me. But
Oh, so flip it on its head, do
flip it on
something
its
unique
head.
with it, give it to
Yes.
Kiki.
I'm
Okay,
always thinking
perfect.
like, hood rats in genre, like city girls in
Mm.
genre, Meg the Stallion
Yes.
in genre.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God, we
Yes,
need it.
please. Yes. It's going to cut us off at any moment,
Of
but it
course.
has been a delight to have you on. Thank you for taking the time. You
Yeah.
are a hoot. I
Thank y'all for having me. Honestly, I feel like publishing is just being nerds in your different brands and finding
Yeah.
your people. So this is always so fun. And yeah, I'm excited to have. Thanks for my rambling.
Yeah, we love your rambling.
It was absolute perfection. I'm obsessed.
Of the publishing persuasion, of the publishing persuasion.